So my name is Mike Van Offeren. I'm a recreational safety deputy with the Sheriff's Office. I've been on the dive team for, how long now? 3 years sounds right? I don't know for sure. It's been a little while. So I'm kind of one of the guys who knows a lot about the sonar for the team. I'm getting that ready to go and making sure we got everything before we launch the boat. So for this excursion, use that sonar, find where we want to dive, take a diver down, and then use that sonar to guide the diver actually to a certain target.
You got that all right? My name is Ben Thuman. I work for Wausau PD as a patrol officer. I'm also on the dive team, and this is our dive truck. Basically a bunch of lockers here for each dive member. Some have to share a locker, but we've got our dive suits. Yeah, like I said, each person's got a locker. Just a bunch of equipment for each person. We have our dive knives that we'll carry when you're in the water, just in case you encounter some sort of rope or fishing net. Different drawers for different equipment, duct tape, power tools, that kind of stuff. These are BCDs. We're no longer using those on the regular. We're using surface air, which you'll see later. But we'll have these BCDs on backup. We use full face masks with comms included, so we can communicate to the surface. Lights, so we'll attach a light to each face mask so that we can see. Visibility is not always the best, so having that little extra light helps out quite a bit. Yeah, so these are our wetsuits. We generally don't use the wetsuit just because of the conditions we're in. We don't know what kind of hazardous material or other things we'll encounter. So we rarely use those, maybe for training. These are our dry suits that we primarily use. So you can generally keep whatever you're wearing dry. Some of them do leak, but we are getting new suits issued. They should be arriving shortly. In winter months, we'll wear this insulation underneath our dry suit to keep us warm. A lot of dive members generally put on like base layers underneath this as well, just to keep warm.
Well, what we have on here is, this is a surface air supply unit, and so they get all their air from the surface. Their tanks are kept in the boat, and basically they have a air hose that has a communication line woven around it. So with this right here, yellow is the air line, the red is the communications line, and then this black hose right here is what we call, it's for a pneumofathometer. From the manifold we can tell how deep they are, and that way we can monitor their depth. We have these smaller tanks called bailout bottles that are on their back, and then that way they have the ability, if for some reason their airline was ever severed, they have another manifold on their harness. They can turn that, and then it'll start feeding air to their mass, basically assured of having some air until help can come down. This is a lot more diver friendly, but we maintain both sets. We can dive either or depending upon the situation. Both divers will breathe off of one tank, and then when it starts to get down to a certain PSI in the tank, then we have a lever and we'll switch it to a different tank, and we can keep that rotation going on. As long as we got air in tanks, we can just keep that rotation going on.
So the main purpose for today is we're going to actually send a diver down and guide them in using that sonar to a certain target or object. But for now we'll cut to last training when we were actually using that sonar and making sure it all worked.
From the start of the team, when I got on, we were primarily relied upon dive searches, and we just start search patterns through dives and rotate our divers over and over again till they got tired or cold or ran out of air. But now pretty much everything is sonar until we find a target worth diving on. And that's worked out really well because we can cover a heck of a lot more area in a shorter amount of time.
The lighter an object is, like these real bright spots, that's very hard bottom. While this darker area here is a very soft bottom. So basically, if you think about a very hard object like a rock or something, sound can bounce off that object a lot easier than a softer object like skin. The softer object will absorb some of that sound and it'll dampen it. So we can tell if we're looking at a really hard object or a soft object. Actually, here we're going right underneath the bridge. So these are the bridge pilings here. And you can tell the bridge piling being concrete's really hard, so it's really bright there. So then these long shadows that come off the bridge pier, you can tell that it's really tall. It's sticking way up out or off the bottom because the sonar comes out off of the towfish here, hits the bridge pier, then comes back. Well, it can't look behind here, so that causes these dark shadows. This mapping area over here, these red lines correspond with these red lines up here actually. The person piloting the boat can see that as well up in a screen by him. So when he's piloting the boat, he's making sure that we get the full area covered. We aren't leaving any areas unscanned at all. So that way we can truly say, hey, we've searched this area to the best of our abilities.
So basically what we have is once we get into a location, we can switch up sonars. We can just get a better view of the bottom. We'll come and check these bridges out every spring. And then if we see objects down there, at some point we'll come back later on and dive them and recover them and see what they are. It's not uncommon for us to find stolen bikes, safes, bits and pieces of weapons. It's not like diving in the Florida Keys for a Spanish galleon, but you'll never know. So this one here is now we're switching over, or with a towfish, it goes down like this. And so it looks down and to the sides. This one here goes all the way down to the bottom and it looks up like this and it goes in a circle. So if we don't know where our object is, we're going to use this first to mark targets. Then we switch and use the Kongsberg to refine our area into a precise location, and then that's when we start putting in divers. And so
we can direct the divers real time.
Yep, and we can direct the divers real time, and then this way we're saving, it's more efficient, it's quicker, and it's more precise, because time is money and we don't have infinite resources. That's why we get called by a lot of people to do what we do, because this operation has accumulated well over 35 years. We operate within Marathon County, but we also get called out of county on mutual aid requests because most counties do not have this.
Yeah, might as well just do the scan, go eat, and then go do another run with the side scan.
Time flies when people hang out with me. You just lose sense of time.
It does. See, I get the opposite effect when I hang out with you, Mark. That was a bad scan.
that's where